because not definitely in terms of the years, but the impact that has been shared so far and the community has had on its members. So this year, we are looking at the theme innovation and entrepreneurship in bioscience. And as part of the member of the planning community, one of the major things that caused us to look at this topic. Last year, we looked at the future of bioscience in Africa. We looked at the recent advances in science, in new technologies, and where science is actually heading to in the future. And this year, we thought that we would do something differently. And because it is pertinent it is important that we understand that we are currently experiencing changing times, and the importance of adaptability and resilience in this changing time is important. And I've seen Science Café throughout this unprecedented time. Science Café has also, as a community, adapted and has stayed dedicated and committed to adapting to the changing times and providing great insights for us as bioscientists in all our sessions. So this year we have, I'm sure you would have seen the portfolio of all our speakers. You see that they have great portfolios, and basically we understand the importance of having a generation of differentiators, not just bioscientists, but bioscientists that will challenge the status quo, that will not just only challenge the status quo, that will do things differently. We need creatives that will provide effective solutions that will tackle the issues and enable us to achieve our sustainable development goals in 2030. And we have 8 years to go to 2030, and the time is now. We have to have that sense of urgency. That is why we are creating this theme, innovation and entrepreneurship in bioscience. That yes, we understand that information is more available more than any time in the world now. But what is the issue that we have? Why we not making use of this knowledge, this rema, this revelation that we are getting? More than I remember a few years back, if you probably told me some certain things, I would probably have to go home to check my dictionary to find out. But some of this information, by the era of the internet, has brought it closer to us, that just by Googling things, you can even school at home. Then I remember then if you had to go to school, now you can even school your children at home now and be sure that they're actually getting value at home. So I would like to welcome you and encourage you to get your pens and your papers, and also to stay glued to this to the Zoom meeting, and ensure that you get the best out of this meeting. And why that information is coming to us, it is important that we get the wisdom to apply this knowledge that is coming to us in this event. So on this note, I would like to congratulate Science Cafe members and all the members of the planning committee, as well as the beautiful Chinaza, the team lead of the planning committee, that has made this possible. And to all the team leads, the volunteer teams, and all members of the community, welcome to this second year anniversary celebration. I hope that I foresee a future of great things and great successes for Science Cafe, and we're definitely looking forward to them expanding their footprints globally all over the world, and a great future for Science Cafe. So welcome it once again, and I hope that you have a great time with us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Olaiton, for that beautiful welcome speech. I'm glad that we're all here this evening to mark the commencement of the second year anniversary of Science Cafe. And as Mr. Olaiton earlier mentioned, he said that the theme for this year's Science Cafe, our second year anniversary, is centered on innovation and entrepreneurship in bioscience. We have a lot of package that have been laid down for us, and it promised to be an interesting one. I want to encourage all of us to sit tight, listen, and be ready. My name is Idris Momodu. and I'll be moderating tonight's session together with my colleague. I'll be moderating tonight's session together with my colleague Ramat. As we all know, today is day one of a 2 days series of events that will mark the commemoration of our 2nd year anniversary. I hope we can all hear me, please.
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you very much. Without wasting further time, we have 3 key events for today. First on our list will be a discussion on the topic, the entrepreneurial scientists, and that will be delivered by one of our guest speakers. That will be delivered by one of our guest speakers who is already in with us for tonight's session, and that's the person of Mr. Pardon me, please. That's the person of Mr. Oluwaseyi Olawale, who will be discussing Oluwaseyi Olawale, who will be discussing the entrepreneurial scientists with us tonight. Mr. Oluwaseyi Olawale is the founder of Genomac Hub. He is a growing independent biotech startup in Nigeria. With a mission to provide sustainable solutions. Sorry, I keep getting muted. He has trained over 6,000 bioscientists in various bioinformatics specialties, and is currently working on a planned project with cure for diabetes treatment, pile, and diarrhea. We are glad to have Mr. Oluwaseyi Olawale in our midst tonight. I want to please advise each and every one of us and encourage us to please ensure our mics are muted. We're ready to digest the information. Our guest speaker is loaded and waiting to ensure that we get a lot from this session. The entrepreneurial scientist. Our guest speaker will have the floor now to deliver on the topic, the entrepreneurial scientist, and after which we'll be allowed to ask our questions. Please, if you have any questions while the lecture is going on, you can make them in writing. Keep them, and at the end of the session, we'll take as much questions as we can. You can either drop them on the chat box, or we'll give room for you to indicate, and we'll select some of us to be able to ask our questions. Over to you, sir. The floor is open. You can begin your lecture. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Please, if you can hear me, can you reply with a yes at the chat room? Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, please. Can you permit me to share my screen? I have a slide, so. Hello, please can the host permit me to share the screen?
I think you have begun permission, sir. You can go ahead.
Yeah, actually, I can see, I still can see the my screen, right? It's being shared with something else, probably from the last.
Manuel, please take down this brief intro, please, so that our guest speaker can share its screen, please.
Amazing. Thank you so much. All right. Please, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much. So, I'm Oluwaseyi Olawale, the founder and CEO of Genomac. So, where we integrate creative thinking, innovation, and biotechnology to provide sustainable solutions to contemporary health challenges, both the existing and emerging diseases, particularly, and also to, using bioinformatics, artificial intelligence, and medicinal chemistry. So these are the core major areas of biosciences that we engage in, right? Bioinformatics, artificial intelligence, and medicinal chemistry. So I'll be speaking on entrepreneurial scientist, where we're going to get to understand about entrepreneurial scientist and who is an entrepreneurial scientist, how you can become one. And also we're going to look into example of some people who started as a scientist, and ended up being an entrepreneurial scientist, and how successful they were, such that you'll be able to, have an idea and, probably initiate such, strategies that they have explored in them becoming a successful entrepreneurial scientist. All right. So, okay. This is Nigeria. We're in Nigeria. So the electric light just came up now. All right. So what is the goal of every scientist? What do you think is the goal of every scientist? Imagine you starting up as a scientist, all right? You actually wanted to become maybe a microbiologist, or maybe a biochemist, or maybe agriculturist, right? Or someone who studied biotechnology. So you wanted to start, your journey, or you actually started your journey with the hope that you want to be someone who discover new drugs or design new drugs, or maybe you want to be a scientist that embarked on groundbreaking research discoveries. So, and then you went to school, you went to university, you graduated, and if we have to do a lot of analysis nowadays, we get to discover that a lot of people who started as a scientist, or who started to become a scientist along the line, get to be doing something else. Probably some of them became a banker, or maybe some of them became a graphic designer, and they're working with a company, or maybe some people became probably a farmer. Maybe they have a very big poultry, right? But they had it in mind that they wanted to become a scientist. So what actually went wrong along the line? So what is actually the problem? What were the challenges that make such a person not to become a scientist? So, but then that is just a part of it. So we also have the other part of it, where we have some scientists who later became, a very good researcher, who were working with maybe a research institute. Some scientists became academic researcher, right? Where they were working in, they are working in maybe a university, or like I said, a research institute. And some of them have their lab, and, they were doing some, or they are doing some research, and, probably they were doing some research discoveries. In fact, they even had a groundbreaking discovery. So this kind of people actually, embarked on identifying a specific research problem, where they, develop an innovative solution and be a successful researcher or a scientist per se. But then you see, the life of a scientist is beyond this. All right. The life of a scientist is beyond just being a researcher. It's beyond just you being, able to discover maybe some groundbreaking, discoveries. All right. Discover some, this specific area of science work that is like, groundbreaking, right? So the life of a scientist is beyond this. Okay, so and that is what we're going to look into. So somebody said there is a reason why Silicon Valley produced billionaires before they turned 30, but no Nobel laureate, right, has amassed 10-figure wealth. So it means there is a gap between becoming a researcher or becoming a scientist and, and the industry, all right, and the business world. There is a gap. You can emerge as a scientist in your field of study, all right? You do a lot of research. You have some groundbreaking discoveries, but there will always be a difference, right? Or there will always be differences or a particular difference between a scientist and an entrepreneurial scientist. And what is the difference, right? The difference between them is that somebody has, please, can somebody be admitting these guys, or am I the one to be doing that? I believe there should be co-authors, co-hosts rather. All right, so as I was saying, there is a difference, right, between a scientist and entrepreneurial scientist. And the difference is that an entrepreneurial scientist has an entrepreneurial mindset. He has a mindset of an innovative business. While a scientist only have a mindset to embark on a research, like I've said previously, right? To embark on a research, identify a specific research problem, develop an innovative solution for that particular problem, and be successful probably based on selling the patent, or probably being paid by the organization is working or she is working in, right? So who exactly is an entrepreneurial scientist? Who exactly is an entrepreneurial scientist? So we get to discover that entrepreneurship is the process of launching any new business based on innovative idea, right? Before you can be able to call yourself an entrepreneur, is that you're actually solving a problem, and probably your problem is either innovative, all right, or not, right? But then you can call yourself an entrepreneur even though you're selling other people's products, right? That is in the times of business, right? So then we have someone who can translate a scientific research into a commercial innovation. Now this is an entrepreneurial scientist, right? Someone who can translate a scientific research into a commercial innovation, or someone who can incorporate both science, right? Or who can incorporate research, right? Scientific research and what? And business, right? So such a person is an entrepreneurial scientist, okay? So we have certain attributes of one being an entrepreneurial scientist. So if you want to become an entrepreneurial scientist, or you see someone who is an entrepreneurial scientist has some of these attributes, all right, or has this attribute that classify them to be an entrepreneurial scientist. And we're going to be discussing in details some of these attributes, such that you'll be able to have a full understanding of who an entrepreneurial scientist is and how you can emerge as one, all right? How you can emerge as one, how you can, translate from being a scientist, all right, to an entrepreneurial scientist. Because truth be told, reality be told, this is what our society needs, all right? When you look at a developed country, you get to discover that every day by day we see new startup company, right? We see people aspiring to have to start a startup company. Get to discover that some people who are into academicians are actually translating, transiting, right? Transitioning from being an academician to an entrepreneurial scientist. And how did this all begin? How did it all begin, right? How did they all become entrepreneurial scientists, and they have a startup? So this is some of the attributes that we're going to look into. And if you have a desire, right, to be an entrepreneurial scientist, because myself, I'm a biopreneur. So I called myself, I can call myself an entrepreneurial scientist. I'm an entrepreneurial scientist, right? So even though I'm a researcher, yet I understood the strategies. I understood the idea of starting a business even as a researcher, right? So we're going to look into all these attributes, some of these characteristics, and understand how you can emerge as one, right? So the first one we have here is navigate a complex pathway. So one of the attributes of an entrepreneurial scientist is to be able to navigate the complex pathway from the lab to the market with integrity, passion, and determination. So let's say, for instance, you started out as a biotechnologist or a biochemist. So then you graduate, and probably you have some relevant skills, all right? You have some relevant skills in terms of maybe drug discovery, right? And then you are able to, do a lot of drug discovery analysis, drug discovery analysis, or drug discovery research. And then you started out as that, and then you came to a point where you are able to, discover some novel drugs, right? So all this is just the lab work, right? So you've been able to have a groundbreaking discovery, or you've been able to have a novel discovery, right? And you get to discover that your discovery, it has a potential, right, to create or to cause an impact, right, to create an impact-driven startup company. So you must be able to transit from the lab to the market. So this is one of the attributes of an entrepreneurial scientist, such that you are not just a lab technician, you're not just a scientist, you're not just a researcher, but you have this attribute of navigating from the lab to the market. Then the second thing we have here is ability to design, manage and evaluate the scalability and impact of the research. So an entrepreneurial scientist, right, would have the ability to design, manage and evaluate the scalability and impact of a specific research. For instance, presently at Genomac, we've discovered a specific novel peptide that has the ability to cure specific infections caused by Staphylococcus aureus, right? So, and then it came to a point where we began to analyze the scalability impact of our work, our discovery. And then we came to a point where we discovered that WHO is actually telling the world that there is a present global threat, right, in the world, like a present global threat, especially Africa. And that particular global threat is an outbreak of antimicrobial resistance. So that shows that there's quite a number of people that are suffering from they're suffering from bacterial infections, especially Africa. And analysis shows that about, I think, 10 million people would die from pathogenic infections in the next maybe few years from now, but maybe by 2030. 10 million people will be dying every year. So it means that this is a global threat. And that shows that there's quite a number of people that are affected by antimicrobial resistance. So this is like, a scalability research. So it shows that our research has an impact. By the time we are done, by the time we are ready with the product, it means it will scale. So that is the idea of an entrepreneurial scientist, such that your research should be able to scale, right? You must have an understanding, you must have an idea of if your research will be able to scale. And the impact or the potential of your research. It's very, very important. Then we have understood the relationship and essential role played by research and innovations in entrepreneurial development. And this is one of the key factors that is making a lot of countries to be developing nowadays, right? And it means that an entrepreneurial scientist should be able to understand the relationship and essential role played by research and innovations in the entrepreneurial development. They must be able to understand, the role that this, or the role that your research as a scientist will play in the development of your society. All right, in the development of your society. This is very, very, very important. And then the next thing we have here is an entrepreneurial scientist must value relationship, collaboration, and partnership, because you can't do this alone. You must be able to have others who are working with you. You must be able to collaborate with people who are, in the same industry with you as a scientist or as a researcher in the bioscience industry, right? So you must be able to value relationship, collaboration, and partnership, such that you will need the skill of other people. You need the experience of other people or other company who are in the same industry as you, so that you'll be able to scale your research. So these are some of the attributes that is related, or that is found, or we can see in an entrepreneurial scientist. So we're going to look at some famous scientists who are entrepreneur, right? So the first person is Ben Franklin. You might have heard about him. So he is an extraordinary business and civic leader. So he knows how to delegate, network, and raise capital. So he can run, in fact, he ran his own printing shop, right? A newspaper and a general store. Then he scaled his business beyond the threat of a local competition. Now, this is the life of an entrepreneurial scientist. So he didn't just started as a businessman, right? Probably, maybe he started as a scientist, all right? Maybe he started as a scientist. He was working in the lab, right? And we probably spent most of his years working in the lab. But it came to a point where he began to have, an idea of business. So probably, yeah, he viewed himself in the role or in line of being a businessman, right? And then he started out by owning a printing shop, a newspaper, and a general store. Then he scaled his business beyond the threat of local competition, despite being a scientist, despite being a researcher. It says that by the age of 24, right, Franklin was already on the road to entrepreneurial success. This business, combined with the commercialization of his inventions, eventually made him one of the wealthiest men of his time. Helped launch a London library, hospital, and college. Now, this is the life of an entrepreneurial scientist. A scientist, being a researcher or an inventor working for a company, you may not be able to transcend, or be able to actually achieve your aims, probably achieve your desire, or probably achieve your plans. You understand? Because probably as you started out, you must have, scheduled, or you must have, written down some plans. Maybe you must have foreseen or desire, a particular aspect of your life being wealthy, right? But you cannot transcend that until you have been able to have an entrepreneurial mindset in order to be able to scale or navigate your research, your discovery from the lab, from wherever you're working in the science space, right, to the market. That's to the business space, okay? Then we have Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison is a textbook example of a scientist who converted his inventions into successful commercial applications. Although he's credited with more than 1,000 US patents, his greatest discovery were undoubtedly the phonograph and most importantly, the light bulb. You might have heard about that, yeah? Some of you will know about that. Then not long after his inventions of the incandescent light bulb, Edison recruited a team of high-powered investors and from the Edison Electric Light Company. Now, this is a man who started out as a scientist, and at the end of the day, he later ended up having a company, right? A It came up with investors. And you see, to tell you the truth, the biotech industry or the bioscience industry is scaling right now, right? It's really what investors are looking forward to invest their money. The other day, I get to discover that there was a company who were developing certain numbers of antibiotics, and a conference was held where investors came, and they talked about the times, and they were able to invest. In fact, some of these guys, they some of these companies, they will even develop an idea. Maybe they did some hypothesis or experiment in the lab, and it came to a point when they discovered that their research is valid, right? You get to discover that some investors, because they have seen the track record of some of these companies, right? And they had to drop money. They had to invest with it, with a whole lot of money. I'm not just talking about small money. We're not talking about millions here. We're talking about a venture investors, right? Who were able to invest, and at the end of the day, this product was valuable, was ready for the market, and they're making their money, right? And they're making impact at the same time. So this is a life of what, or this is how an entrepreneurial scientist is, right? So now, what's the roadmap to becoming an entrepreneurial scientist? Personally, I have an experience in this, because I discovered when I started out as an entrepreneurial scientist. I actually, can I say, when I started out as a data analyst, right? Bioinformatics data analyst, and was working with Elix Biogen Institute, right? Based on data, bioinformatics data analysis, or omics-based data analysis, or genomics data analysis. And it came to a point where I had a rethink about my life. I was like, I think I need to, think where I think I need to define my purpose. Let me put it that way. I think I need to define my purpose. And then I began to start out as an entrepreneurial scientist, where I desire my own startup company, and I had help actually. So we're going to look into some of these things which helped me, right, in being where I am today. So the first is, you must be able to define your purpose. All right. If you want to become an entrepreneurial scientist, if you want to become some of like the likes of Edison, which we talked, seen into them, right? So you must be able to define your purpose. You must be able to, know which line, all right, which bioscience, or which niche in bioscience do you want to embark on, right? Even if you are a biochemist, right? You started out as a microbiologist, right? In any of this bioscience field, or in any scientific field, right? You must be able to define your niche. You must be able to understand which area do you actually want to focus on, right? You cannot just start out as, just call yourself scientist, and, you start, working on some things on a general term. You must first of all define your purpose. Becoming an entrepreneurial scientist, like I said, you must define your purpose. You must know your niche. You must understand what specific field do you want to, really, really focus on. Because if you talk about biochemistry, there are a lot of areas as in biochemistry. There are a lot of areas as in microbiology, right? In microbiology. So as a microbiologist, you can work in the lab, right? You can work in industry. You can work in some microbiological lab, probably in the hospital, right? In research institutes, right? So you must first of all know your niche. You must first of all understand where do you actually want to embark on. It's very, very, very important, all right? Then you must learn to think outside the box, okay? You must learn to think outside the box. While I was still on defining your purpose, while I was still undergraduate, right? Because I graduated from Lautech. So, and then I was in 300 level then. So I began to make my research. Like, I know that biology is wide, and especially microbiology is still wide, right? is kind of, but what area of microbiology do I want to focus on? I was even thinking about industrial microbiology, right? So in the course of my research, I get discovered bioinformatics. So I stumbled on bioinformatics and I make my research. I made my research and I discovered that bioinformatics is one of the major areas that I can actually embark on. And I began. So I went for training. I went, to acquire skills, and I began to study. I put my my time into it, right? I invested my time into it. I do a lot of self-learning and things like that. So, and it helped me, right? It helped me. And then even while studying, why doing bioinformatics, and I began to experience or to discover that even bioinformatics itself has a lot of areas, right? It has a lot of specific areas. So, and then I began to develop myself in this. And I learned that I had to be an entrepreneurial scientist. So as a bioinformatician, because bioinformatics cut across different fields, all right? Bioinformatics cut across different, so it's an interdisciplinary field, right? So it cut across different bioscience fields. And I discovered that for me to be able to be successful as a bioinformatician, I must learn different aspects of bioinformatics. It means that I must be able to apply bioinformatics in medicines, in agriculture, right? I must be able to apply it when it comes to the industry. So I must be able to attend to different customers, because some of the things we do also here at Genomac is that we render services, right? We render services. So if I had to be a biopreneur and bioinformatics is one of the major things I'm focusing on, then I should be able to attend or to meet different clients that are coming from different bioscience field, which bioinformatics have an application in, right? So
this is the 10 minutes left for your lecture, sir.
Pardon?
Thank you, sir.
Hello?
Please, we have a limited time, so we have about 10 minutes left for assigned for your lecture.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'll rush down. Then you must acquire cutting edge skills, right? You must acquire cutting edge skills. As you have defined your purpose, you know your niche, right? Thinking outside the box. You must acquire cutting edge skills. A lot of skills out there that are interdisciplinary, right? For instance, what is trending right now is data science. So you must be able to, or you must embark on a journey to acquire cutting edge skills. You must be able to identify research problems. Being an entrepreneurial scientist, research problems that when solved, they are scalable, right? You must be able to, seek help from mentors and experts. You must develop your value proposition, okay? You must develop your value proposition. You must have a value proposition that can sell. You must develop a value proposition that, can scale. Value proposition that investors will be able, will be able to trust, will be ready to pour out their money. Okay, then you must learn to talk about your solution. You must learn to talk about your value proposition. And some of this learning includes, you must be able to learn to pitch. Okay, you must learn to know how to pitch to investors. You must learn to defend your solution as you started out, because this is the future of Africa. This is the future of Nigeria, right? So these are some of the research and development that we have ongoing in Genomac. So, but let me just, because of my time, then there are key characters you must possess. First, know your field. I think I already talked about that. Begin with the end in mind. And this means that you must have your end users in mind. You must know the needs of your end users. So if you started out to develop a specific solution in bioscience, right, you must have your end user in mind. You must be able to know what they need, right? Then you have to learn skills needed to navigate your entrepreneurial pathway, right? You must be able to learn skills that are needed to navigate your entrepreneurial pathways. You cannot just serve as an entrepreneur, right? You cannot just be there as an entrepreneur, as a scientist, rather, right? So you must learn the pathway of an entrepreneur. You must learn business. Let me put it in that way. You must understand what equity is. You must understand what investor is. You must understand what shares is. So that is if you have a mind that you want to start up your company, you want to start a company, right? You must have this. It's very, very important. I remember last year, I embarked on 2-month vigorous trainings, 2-month vigorous trainings on business. And that led me to, to Lagos, where we went to beach, and to God be the glory, Genomac emerged as first, where we were able to meet some investors, right? And then we shared our solutions. One of the solutions we have is that we discovered a plant, it took plant combination that has the potential to cure early stage diabetes and bring late stage diabetics to remission, such that if anyone has a diabetics, late stage, like very chronic, and takes a solution, right? Such a person is able to come to a complete remission, so that you may be such a person will not experience symptoms again, right? So you must be able to embrace risk, right? You must be able to embrace value. You must value failure, rather. Don't be afraid of failure. It's part of it. And leverage others. Presently, we are building the first genomics surveillance database in Africa here at Genomac Hub. And I'm not doing it alone, right? I'm not doing it alone. I'm working with a whole lot of team members here with me. And some of them are IT students. Some of them are, interns that came from different places in Nigeria, and we're working together. We have international collaborators as well. So I'm not doing this alone. I have others who are on the team, and we're working together to make this a success, right? So you must be able to work with others. Then you must understand your market value, all right? You must understand your market value. You must be able to research on the market value of your solution. What is the market value? Because that is when you can be able to understand if it's scalable. We make a research on the market value of one of our diabetics project, and we get to discover that the market value in Nigeria alone is $1.2 billion by the time it's ready. Because we've tried it with so many different patients, and it works. It works. We developed traction over a period of time. That's why some investors were able to say, okay, we want to listen to you because you have tractions. Why we tested it traditionally, right? So these are some of the things you need, and then you must be able to leverage social media. We render services as well, and most of our clients came actually from different aspects of the world, like from different places in the world, right? So, but how do we get to reach them? It's through social media. In terms of our courses, it's through social media. So if you have a scalable solution, right, you must be able to leverage social media. You must be able to understand the market value so that you'll be able to understand if it's actually scalable. So this is very, very important. All right. So I've come to the end of my presentation. So in case you have any questions, so I'm here to take them.
Thank you very much, sir, for the wonderful presentation. I was just glued to my screen trying to jot out some points to take home. It is the enterprise scientist, and you're giving us a lot, from attributes to roadmap to knowing what gets to understand what the end users require and making use of social media. Thank you, Mr. Oluwaseyi Olawale, for the beautiful presentation. I know we are itchy to ask our questions, and if you have questions, you can drop them in the chat box. Because of time, I will only be able to take just 3 questions. So if you have questions, you can please either indicate by raising your hand, or you can drop them in the chat box. I will only be taking the first 3 questions, please. Please, let's quickly indicate. While I wait for others to indicate, I think I want to go first. Please, sir, speaking to an African mindset, someone who is in Nigeria,
Okay.
I want to establish an entrepreneurial scientist. I want to become an entrepreneurial scientist.
Yeah.
What are the advice you give, considering the fact that most of us here are young and upcoming researchers or scientists? What are the clear-cut advice you give us or steps to take using Nigeria as a case study?
All right. Well, I would like to say that I'm also young. Right?
We are younger.
I'm young. So that's how that's why we're a startup company. We're also upcoming. We are coming up. All right. So first, right, I would like to say that don't be discouraged by the present state of Nigeria. All right. The present state, the present stature of Nigeria, the condition of Nigeria. Because truth be told, all right, you are needed in order to transform or to revolutionize your country, in order to revolutionize Nigeria. So, you get to discover that some of these challenges that a Nigerian will have or will be thinking about will be funding. That, okay, if I embark on research and I have a groundbreaking discovery, right? Where will I get the funding? See, you don't need to have funding, or you don't need to think about funding before you start. All right? So if you have an idea as a Nigerian in the present state of Nigeria, right? Right? Please start from somewhere. Okay? Start from somewhere. Reach out to experts. Reach out to mentors. Reach out to people who are already a success. In fact, leverage social media. Reach out to experts who are in the diaspora, right? Reach out to experts who are not even Nigerians, or even they're not even African, because some of these guys are out there and they can help you. Another thing is try to attend programs. Thank God you are here, right? And that shows that you have a mind that some of these kinds of program, you have a mindset of attending them, right? So it's that you want to learn, you want to be developed, you want to grow. So please, whenever you because there are some international programs as well, such as this international programs on business, international program on biotech, entrepreneurship in biotech, right? Please attend them. Attend some of these programs, attend conferences, attend seminars. You will grow from there. And please start from wherever you are. Most especially, start learning skills. The theory you get from school, the theory you get from university, right? Even the theory you get from master's or PhD will not get you to where you want to be or you want to get to in life, right? You must be able to acquire skills. In fact, pay the price to get the skills. I know how much I paid to learn bioinformatics. And I know how much time I sacrificed with self-learning, right? To get to where I am, right? So please learn sacrifice, learn to sacrifice, learn to, to learn new things. You must learn that to acquire new skills, It's very, very important. Okay. So I think that's.
Thank you very much, sir. I'm grateful for the response and I've duly noted. Thank you. Trying to factor Nigeria is always a key factor in everything we do as young scientists. Thank you for the session, and I'm glad we had a wonderful one. Believe me, I'm not becoming the entrepreneurial scientist, trying to transform some of the basics that we have learned and the ideas we have into making them an end user product. I hope definitely the sky will be our starting point. Thank you once again, Mr. Oluwaseyi Olawale, for the beautiful presentation. We are grateful and okay, that brings us to the end of the first session for tonight. And without further ado, we'll go into the second session for tonight. And this session is like about winning grants and pitches for science research. Yes, as I was alighting to the anniversary graduate team the other day, I could remember the other day I had to pitch an IBR. Although I didn't get it, but it was a learning curve for me. And I hope this workshop may give me some insights as to how to become a better pitcher and write better grants. Yes, we have a doctor in our midst. He's no other person other than Dr. Macaulay Babajide Milton. He is the founder of Illumania. Dr. Macaulay is a native of Lagos State, Nigeria. He's an academic and an educational consultant, a 150 fellow of the Royal Commonwealth Society, a non-resident fellow of the Nigeria Global Affairs Council. He is a 2021 Carrington Youth Fellow and a 2022 Open Africa Power OAP Fellow. Bachelor's degree with first class honors in biology from the great Federal University of Technology, Akure. Of course, that must definitely be one of my dream schools in Nigeria. Honored to have our doctor in our midst. He then went on to win the highly prestigious Commonwealth Scholarship twice to fund, which he guided with distinction in sustainable environmental management from Natural Resource Institute, University of Greenwich, United Kingdom. And he has a Doctor of Philosophy PhD degree in environmental geochemistry and geomicrobiology from the University of Manchester, also in United Kingdom. He currently lectures in Department of Biology, specifically Environmental Biology and Public Health Unit at Federal University of Technology, Akure, where he teaches environmental sustainability courses to both undergrad and postgraduate students. Seeing this profile alone, I know the students are really lucky to have him in their midst, and we're lucky to have him today. In 2018, Dr. Macaulay founded Illumania, which is an online educational consulting outfit where he provides a wide range of academic support to students, graduates, business professionals, including academic scholarships. There's over 200 MSc and PhD scholarship winners from Nigeria, Ghana, Cameroon, Kenya, Botswana, and South Africa, attracting about $8.5 million in scholarship benefits. This feat earned him the Royal African Leadership Award in 2021, which was presented by the Oni of Ife, the Oba Adeyemi Enita Ogusi Ojaja II, and Nigeria's Federal Minister of Youth and Sport, Mr. Sunday Dare. In late 2021, Dr. Macaulay created Wadi, a startup that connects African researchers to the resources they need to strive in research and development in Africa. In July 2022, Wadi was adjudged the most innovative startup at the Nigerian University of Technology and Management Startup Competition, winning the prize of 2.5 million naira. And recently, he won the Aquarium Scholarship worth $9,600 to pursue a virtual executive Master of Business Administration program at the Quantic School of Business and Technology, USA, to improve his business knowledge. We are honored and we are glad to have Dr. Macaulay in our midst this evening. I would quickly like to declare the floor open and pass over the baton to Dr. Macaulay to begin his lecture. He will be discussing on winning grants and pitches for science research. Please, let's endeavor to keep our mics mute, indicate our questions on chat box or write them, and at the end of the session, we'll take as much as we can. Thank you once again, and over to you, Doc.
Yeah, thank you, Idris. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, Doc, I can hear you.
Can you guys hear me? Okay, cool. I'm sorry, I had to do this in my car because where I live, I don't know what the problem is, but in the last 2 weeks, we've been having serious issues with network. So if I get into my house now, everything will just disappear. I don't know. Someone here can solve the problem through a startup. Let's start on a soft note. Okay. So I just had to come out, you know, drive to a place that I know like that my network is full, and then, you know, have this done. So the way it's going to go, unfortunately, is that because I don't have access to control my slides, I've sent in my slides. So one of the moderators has promised to display it while I just speak onto it. So can you please share my slide, please, so that I can
Yes, Doc.
go straight up
Yes,
to it.
please.
Okay.
Sorry, Doc. I'm still trying to transfer the slides to my phone. That's why it's not up yet.
Okay. But do you have it?
Yes, I do.
Okay. All right. Okay, so while Idris is trying to grab it, let me just try to engage the audience a bit. So my approach for tonight is going to be a bit different. It's not going to be academic. It's going to be more business, right? Because when you talk about pitching, then you're talking business. I know that there is grants there, but what you really want these days is to understand the business in science. And I am going to shed a bit of light on that. I'm very happy that Mr. Olawale of Geomac Hub came before me because I listened to him. He already has set the scene. So when I'm speaking, it will not sound like I'm talking gibberish. So I'm very glad that he started before me. He's already set up a lot of things at the background that you then understand when I begin to talk about certain things, especially from the business side of this talk. Some of you might be just scientists, you don't know anything at all about business, but that is why you need this kind of event, because this event is going to open your eyes to let you know that you're capable. There's nothing stopping you. You can actually be both. You can combine. And who says a scientist cannot be a CEO, right? A good example. Okay, don't let me begin to share what's on my slide. I want the slide to still have the effect I want it to have. So don't let me. Well, but the point I'm making is no one says you can't be both. You don't have to be that. Traditionally, what has always occurred is academics like myself, right? Scientists like myself. But all we do is stay in classrooms, labs, do our thing, then we pray and wish to win the Nobel Prize, and that's it. Publish, yes, publish or perish. Then you publish, and that's it. But if you want to be unusual, right, you want to have some legacy in another way. Legacy in this case can also be high social impact, but no one says it must be non-profit. You can make profit and still have high social impact. Please let that sink in. Let that sink in, because most people always think if they must make high social impact, then they should not charge for anything. It must be free. Let me bust your bubble. When you do things for free all the time, it's not sustainable. It's not. So at the end of the day, you have to know your numbers. And when you know your numbers, oh, glad my slide is up. So when you know your numbers, it's going to help you know how sustainable that is going to be and whether you still be in business in 10, 20, 50 years. And even when you leave as CEO, someone else comes in, your business is there, resilient, stand the test of time, will outlive you. That's the point, and that's a legacy. Okay, so let me go straight to my talk. Idris, oh, it's not Idris, so now it's Emmanuel's screen. Emmanuel. Hi, Emmanuel.
You'll be assisting
Hello?
with the slides.
Okay, so who is going to be changing the slides?
Emmanuel will change it. He'll be changing it.
Okay, but I hope you can hear me.
Yes, I
can
think
Emmanuel respond? Okay. Okay. So I want you to move the slide. I will tell you when to move. So I will tell you next slide and then you move, right? So just let me know when you want me to go.
You can go ahead, sir.
Okay, so I need to see my slide. You've taken it away. All right, so I'll be speaking on winning grants and pitches for science research. Next slide, please. We are still on the first slide, Emmanuel. All right, thank you. So just as I said earlier, I will be talking about the business in science. And why is this very important? Is because I noticed a trend in this part of the world, not just in this part of the world, in fact, it's global. Because I remember that my supervisors at the University of Manchester as well, they're just very smart, talented, but don't care about business, right? So it's a trend globally where most scientists do not know anything about business. They are more bothered about winning the Nobel Prize than building a profitable venture or legacy. And less than 20% of them globally actually resort to selling their ideas to businesses. Can you imagine? They don't care about business, but they end up selling it to businesses. So they have to patent it first, then they commercialize it. So as a result, they get a percentage of it, right? Each time the business sells the solution. But when you do this, you're just getting a very tiny fraction of your sweat. When you do this, you're just getting a very tiny fraction of your sweat. Let me say it for the third time. When you do this, you're just getting a very tiny fraction of your sweat, while that business is getting the rest. Because the business has put the appendages to make sure that that idea doesn't stay in idea form or doesn't stay in lab form or doesn't stay in, oh, this is the active ingredient in the extract that is responsible for the treatment of diabetes, right? No, it doesn't stop there. It goes to drug development. It goes to making packages. It goes to marketing, and it goes to taking it from lab to hospital. It goes to taking it from lab to pharmacies. It goes to taking it from lab to into the body of a human user that will then be cured and will pay for the service. So you can see the impact. That's huge impact. Now, I've put the picture of someone that some of you might know and some others might not know. That's Professor Tuyuyu, who won the Nobel Prize in Medicine in 2010. Tuyuyu is very popular for her work with the alternative to the malarial drug that we use today. Before we stumbled upon artemether, now we do artemether and lumefantrine, we tend to combine both. But then artemether is still the key portion of it. Now, before we stumbled upon artemether, we used to use some other kind of, like this extract from a plant. This one is called chloroquine. And it's also from the back of a plant. I've forgotten the name of that plant. I think it's a quinine. It's from a quinine group. That's why it's extremely bitter. Now, chloroquine was used, but it itches the body. It has all kinds of side effects and all that. And we were using it, right? We were using it. You would realize that one day, artemether just flooded the markets. And everybody just says, oh, there's artemether in most of these brands, and it's working so well. And guess what? We've been using artemether for years now. But guess who made that happen? This Chinese woman here. Yes, the Syncona back, but it's the biological name that I know, but I can't remember. If you remember, please type it, because I want it to stick again. So once you type it, it will stick again, right? So how did she go about artemether? Now, I need to let you know. Oh, I don't think it's this one that I'm aware of. Most of the times these plants have got different, the genera will be so many, but the species or the variety, right, would also be many. So in this case, the one I know doesn't have that species name, but it's fine. That is the plant. That is the plant. So what happened with Tuyuyu is that there were Chinese plants already used in treatment of different diseases. So she stumbled upon one of them, and the name is Artemisinin annua. It's a plant. And then she extracted this active ingredient from the plant. But then after she tested it in the lab on mice and some other test subjects, and it worked well, she needed a human, experiment. Someone to test it on and to say, yes, it's working. Look at the parasitemia, that is the parasitic load in the blood. It's reduced. It's killing them, right? And then she didn't find anyone. So she used herself. She used herself as a test subject. Absolutely amazing. And it worked. How did she use herself? She infected herself with malaria. That is easy to do. Just culture them, put your hand inside their cage, they will bite you. And after a while, you'll come down with it. So that's easy. But the fact that she was willing to go all through that in order to test that something works was just absolutely amazing. And at the end of the day, it worked. Now, she sold it. So that's the third point I'm making here. She didn't go on to build a business. She sold it as every other academic and scientist will do. She sold it, she patented it, and she sold it to pharma companies, big pharma companies. And then when they saw the active ingredient, they then, what's the word I'm looking for? They then synthesized, that's the word. They synthesized it in the lab. Because they can't be plucking the plants everywhere. How much plants do they need to pluck and extract? So they had to synthesize, and that makes it quicker. It's the same compound, right? And so they named it artemether after the plant, Artemisinin annua. And that is what you buy today from your pharmacy shops to treat malaria. So why I'm saying this is, I'm trying to tell you that this is usually the fate of even the best in academia. They just sell their ideas to businesses. And I wish that they changed that. Because I want to be unusual. I've taken the path of business. I'm still a scientist. I'm just as he said, an entrepreneur. But I call myself an entrepreneurial professor. Because at the end of the day, that is what I'm going to become. I will stand in a classroom like I normally do, and teach people, and I'll run businesses, and they will be wondering, what kind of a person is this? If such people do not exist, I want to be the first. And I want to share with you my journey on how I'm trying to break into this new line of unusual pathway. Next slide, please. Because of my time, I'm going to race a little bit. Next slide. Thank you. I'm sure you guys know this man. No, I'm not going to talk about Twitter. It's not because of Twitter. I'll put him here because of one of his several companies. You know he's a genius, and we all know that. He's a scientist, by the way. True and true. Well, he's a scientist, by the way, true and true. But I am particular about Neuralink. I'm particular about Neuralink. Now, what if scientists start building businesses too? Stop selling your business, stop selling your ideas to businesses. What if you start selling, what if you start building the business so that you get the full reward of your sweat, and you don't sell that to another company? And that's exactly what Elon Musk describes or defines or encapsulates or personifies. That's exactly who he is. This guy is a scientist and an innovator. And the moment he thinks about how to solve things using the basic rules in science, he just builds a company. He's not that he's trying to sell anything. He just builds a company. He wants to go to space. He built a company. He wants an electric car that will work in a specific way. He built a company. And then he's thinking of making the brain better than it normally is by interfacing computers with it. And he built a company. That's exactly the kind of mindset that I want academics and scientists to start having. Build the solution and leave a legacy. It's not just about, look, the solution is here. Okay, I patented it. Who can I sell it to? Let's stop that trend and start something new. Yes, let's be rich too. Who says you should not be the richest man on it and still be a scientist, right? Next slide. Okay, so how do you turn your scientific idea into business? I would tell a couple of things that has worked for me, and I'll be very practical. Number one, have you found a problem experienced by a large number of people? Please, the active word here is large number of people. There are many problems, so like that song, problem, you know, they finish, just they try to enjoy, Abi. You know, they finish, just to try to enjoy. Problem, no, they finish, oh. Wahala is everywhere. So if your issue is, oh, there is wahala everywhere, let me solve this one. It's not enough. It's not enough. The issue is what kind of wahala? How many people are experiencing the wahala? So if it is a wahala that is global in nature, then you are in business. If it is a wahala that is continental, then you are in business. Even if it is national, but covers, you know, a lot of grounds, because a lot of people will capture your target market, then you are in business. But if it is your community that will only purchase it, that business go fail, oh, sorry, oh. If it is only your family, you are solving a family problem, now only 6 people go buy them. Sorry, brother, it's not going to fly. So the active part of that first point is large number of people, because it's extremely important because of social impact and your ability to scale, just as the previous speaker said excellently, the ability to scale. Number 2, how did you discover the problem? Now, this is very important too, because my experience, investors are interested in knowing how you found the problem. Is it that you were just sleeping, then you had a dream? Or maybe you said they brought it. They brought it from the sky. That's how you knew. My dear, it will not fly you. Let me tell you the kind of problems that investors love. to hear that you are solving a problem that you experienced yourself, you were a victim, right? They will so cherish it if you are also the solution provider. Why? You are very close to the problem. So the pain points of the users, you understand it like the back of your hand. Investors want solution providers that know the problem like the back of their hand, because that is the only time that your solution will be tailored fit, and the people that should use it will be happy to buy it, because you would have purchased it if someone else had what provided the solution, because you're a victim. So it makes sense. So the question is, how did you discover the problem? Are you close to the problem? The closer you are to the problem, the better. The farther you are from the problem, it's not going to be advisable. 3, is the solution novel? Why should they even invest at all in it? If everybody is doing it, or it's so easy to copy, and competition will just rise tomorrow, and before you know, you're out of business. There's nothing novel or special about it. No one is going to put their funds in there. Is the solution economically viable? Now, this is important, because if no one is willing to pay, do you know that there are many problems that have solutions that you can actually build a solution for, but people will not pay? And I will tell you such problems. Maybe is a problem that has to do with luxury. It's not a pressing issue. You know that people tend to prioritize their needs. So if they earn, and you know where you are, you're in a place where the power of earning is so low. So people tend to prioritize their needs before they then allocate funds. Which one will go for what? And they pay and they spend on food first, then housing, then some other stuff, right? So whatever you are trying to build, or the solution you are trying to build, the moment you realize that, look, people might not even want to pay because they have a whole bunch of things they have to pay for before they get to what I'm trying to solve. That means that in terms of economic viability, it's low. So how economically viable is this product? Is it very important? It is important for you to think about this. That is why not every solution will fly. And that is why many startups will come and pitch, and at the end of the day, judges will only pick 3. And you'll be wondering, it's because some are more viable than the others. The last one there is communicating the solution. Now, this is extremely important. I don't even know how to emphasize it enough. It is extremely important, because a good solution that suffers from communication flaws will not fly, because you have done a bad job telling people what it is about. So they won't get it, and it will just die a natural death. So the framing of the solution is important. And I'll tell you a good example from 2 businesses that I have been privileged to build. The way you frame it is important. Use simple English. This is not the time for you to start using big grammar. Let it be so easy for even the public to understand, because sometimes they might need to vote. How will you vote for something you don't understand because the English is too big? Visual aids. The Chinese will tell you that one picture is better than 10,000 words. One picture is better than 10,000 words, because once they see it, they understand it. But if you're trying to describe it with text, you have to write an entire paragraph. So use visual aids to enhance comprehension. Next slide. Because of time, I want to be quick. Because of time. Next slide. Okay, thank you. Team composition. Now, this is another extremely important part of this process. Every investor, I have discovered that at the beginning stage of your startup or your business, they are not so interested in the idea, they are interested in the founders. They are interested in the team. And why is that? they know that many ideas are beautiful. The problem is usually execution. So if you don't have a team that looks viable, proper, these guys, there is good team dynamics, good blend. The knowledge is there, credibility. They know their onions. They are well-bred, especially in that area they say they have a solution for. My dear, if none of this is positive, investors will back out. You can't tell me you are building a real estate company and you have no experience in real estate. How does that work? You can't tell me you are trying to build a solution for researchers and you are not a researcher yourself. How does that work? So these are the issues. And so they are interested in the team composition because they want to know whether you guys have covered all the gaps and whether all, and that is the reason why each time that we pitch, I just noticed that a certain people from the VC firm that we are pitching to will go and look me up on LinkedIn. And I'll see that they've checked me out on LinkedIn. You see, what they are doing is they are checking. Oh, the idea is good, but who is behind it? I'm not moved by how beautiful the idea sounds. I am more interested in the competence of this founder, because if he's competent, then I'm rest assured that he's capable of building a successful venture if the funds are available. The next is budget. This doesn't sound so easy. Some of you will think it's easy. It's not for me to just write the amount I need. Well, it's deeper than that. You probably need a CFO to do a proper job. I mean, a chief financial officer to do a proper job. The next is investment. So this is where investment now comes in. After you have done all the points that I mentioned, you should then think about investment. In the beginning part of your business, I think you should focus more on grants than equity. What's the difference? Equity is ownership. So as they are giving you money, they want to own parts of your business, almost like shareholders. They want to own parts, and so you start diluting your company. It's not entirely a bad thing, but in the beginning, it's not good. Why is it not good in the beginning? You don't have a clear idea of the value of your company yet, because you're just starting. So you don't want to start diluting it, because they'll start taking large chunks, claiming that, you know, your company has not done much. It hasn't done much. So let's take a large chunk. And that way you are not helping your business. So in the beginning, just to get the structure in place, apply for grants. Grants are equity free. Grants come, is almost like a support fund. It comes without any commitment of ownership, and they're available. Apart from grants, if you now decide that, okay, let me try VCs, let me try investors, I will particularly advise, go for angel or impact investors. What do I mean? Go for investors that they are passionate. Let's say you are building an ed tech, educational technology. Go for investors that what they like is education. They'll listen to you and give you money, even when your company has not been built properly. Even when it is still in ideation stage, they will give you money because they are angel investors. Even when it's still at MVP stage, they will give you money because they are angel investors. So target them rather than just VC firms. VC firms are after doubling their profit. So if the traction is not clear because you are still at the beginning, they might not pick you. Not because your idea is not good, it's because you've not proved that this thing people are buying. Early stage usually don't do so well with VCs. That's the fact. It is when you're at pre-seed or seed that VC, big ones, will begin to look at you well. Now, resilience, especially in this part of the world where we are. Resilience is key. Doing business in Nigeria is tough. The fuel scarcity that just happened impacted one of my companies badly. I don't even mind buying the fuel for 600, but there was no even fuel to buy. It was that bad, right? So you must develop resilience because things will happen and you must stay strong. Lastly is periodic innovations. Why is this important? Even if you are the first to enter the market and you have the first mover advantage, competitors will come up very quickly the moment you start doing well. The only way competitors will not be able to tamper with your market is if you continue to innovate. So you can't rest on your oars. You have to keep innovating in order to ward off competitors. Next slide. Okay, so I'm going to rush through this slide quickly because I want to spend my remaining time, because I know I have about 2 minutes or so, or 5 minutes left, to focus on the next slide after this. Now, so to run through this, if you're an academic or a scientist, you need more training. I understand that you already have the technical know-how to create the solution. That is there. But for it to thrive in the arena of business, you need to go learn business. I myself, and as I talk to you, I'm on my MBA with Quantic. So this is not me just saying blah, blah, blue, blue, blah, blah, blue, blue. Don't worry. I know some of you will try to tag that to something. I'm not just saying blah, blah, blue, blue. What I'm saying let me also say 15 naira. There is a mechanism for pricing. When you do an MBA, you understand. Business pitch courses online. I took one. Is Y Combinator Startup School. It's free, it's online. You should do it. It's very, very nice. Attend business social events. It's important. Why? Because this is where you are going to meet people of your kind, founders, and then collaborations can occur, you know, and you will see someone that you guys have complementary products and you can become what? Partners. Next slide, which I think is the last slide, so that I can wrap up. Exactly, that's the last slide. So, case studies. These are two companies that personally building currently. 2022 has been ridiculously busy for me. I've been the busiest human being on earth because of so much I'm doing at the same time. But I'm so proud to tell you about these two companies. Wadi is the one that most of you probably know because that's already out. Rubicon is not out yet, but you guys will be one of the first set of people to hear about it. In time, it's going to go public and you would be able to really understand what it's about. Now, let's look at Wadi. Wadi was coined from Yoruba Iwadi, which means investigate. I'm a scientist, I'm a researcher, I'm an academic at FUTA. And so I saw firsthand the problem that researchers pass through, from access to equipment, to the problem of funding, to the problem of mentorship, even community support is missing. So I told myself that, look, I need to build a solution for this and then put my team together. You notice something there. I'm very close to the problem. So I was able to profile a solution. So I put my team, very complementary, together, and we built Wadi. Now, the flagship product of Wadi is Scent Sample. What is Scent Sample? Many scientists, especially STEM researchers, today understand what I'm talking about, that You might be carrying out a research and the equipment that you need, let's say a GCMS, an FTIR, or even an electron microscope. You might need them to process your samples and your school might not have it, but you don't know where else to look to get the equipment. Wadi will solve the problem, and NMR, thank you. Wadi can solve the problem by just coming to our platform and you type the name of the equipment and it automatically uses a geolocator to tell you the lab closest to you that has got that equipment. And then you send your sample there. We are going to send a dispatch guy that will come and grab the sample from you and send it to the lab, and it will be analyzed and the results electronically sent back to you. Case closed. Research made easy. But there is no way I could have known this if I wasn't in the thick of the problem. So you must be very close to the problem to solve it. Now, that is, and so how did I get investors? Now, because now we are getting lots of grants, we win a lot these days, and I'm so proud and happy. And how do we get shortlisted for all these things? It's because of the way we frame this solution. Now, when we frame it, we don't just say connecting is everywhere. There is waste at the middle of the road. There is waste everywhere. Everywhere is just smelling. Lagos is stinking sometimes, some parts anyway, and it's because the government is tired on how to handle the solid waste. Imagine 30 million people in the smallest state in Nigeria in terms of size. It's the largest state in Nigeria in terms of population. That's already a problem waiting to happen. Now, do you know how they solve the problem? By looking for a landfill to dump the waste. In a state that does not have land, you are looking for a landfill. That is how we knew that there's a problem. So how should they handle this? The way to handle this is to stop looking at waste as waste, but to look at waste as a natural resource. You are to use it. You are not to dump it. And so this is how I always coin Rubicon each time I speak about it. Use the waste, stop dumping it. Your waste, our resource. And what do we want to make out of it? First product is biogas. And this is quite easy because it is just to take that organic part of the waste. The inorganic parts, your plastic, your metal, your glass. There are companies that are already picking that and sorting it out and converting it. A good example is We Cyclers. We Cyclers are already doing that, and some other companies are doing that. But nobody touches the smelly, putrefacible ones, right? Nobody touches those ones because it's smelly. They don't need it, but those are the ones that we need. The organic waste that stinks, because in the absence of oxygen, they generate methane and CO2, and that's your biogas that can be used as cooking gas, right? So the way we frame the problem and the solution coming from waste, then ending it with cooking gas, is the reason why I was able to attract an angel investor that told me that he's willing to spend 50% of everything that we asked for. And I was so stunned, because the amount that we asked for is a lot of money. But this man is I don't want to go deep into it because this is not the time, right? In time, you all will know this. But this man is in oil and gas, is a big shot. He heard me speak about it and he got glued to it. and he said he's going to take charge of up to 50% of it, while telling us that the remaining 50% is going to be easy because we can go to the Afrexim Bank, that's the African Import-Export Bank, to get the remaining half. Once they see what we've done with the first half, he was literally telling us how he's going to be part of the business to help it work, right? And the only way you can make this happen is when you're able to pitch the idea in a way that you capture the attention of an investor. So these are real cases that are my businesses. And I told you, I'm going to be frank. I'm not going to come here and just give you concepts the way lecturers do. I'm a lecturer, I'm just unusual. So next slide. I'm done, guys. Next slide. Thank you so much. I'm actually done. Thank you for listening. And if you need to follow me, LinkedIn is my first very active platform. Babajide Milton Macaulay, PhD. Then Facebook is my next one, which is Milton Babajide Macaulay. Then Instagram and Twitter, Macaulay BM. Thanks a lot for listening. So you can stop share now and I'll take questions. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Doc. I got lots of time. let me try. Just trying to make notes and trying to pitch out some points as to what the lessons to take from this discussion. Thank you, Doc. I love the unorthodox way that you went about the presentation. Of course, I'm really looking forward to an MBA. Now it will help me emphasize the fact that I have to do one. Thank you, Doc, for that. I know we are itching to ask questions. If you have questions, and you can drop them in chat, and I will select some few. Because we are short of time, please, I will only take some few questions. So please, if you have questions, please indicate. Questions.
Thank you, guys. I can see your comments. Thank you so much. Thank you.
In the aspects of no question, I think why I'm waiting for others to bring in their own questions. That this pertains to the fact that I am a junior lecturer in the Polytechnic.
Okay.
To not just sit there and just because in Nigeria, I've noticed one thing: if you have to rely on the bigger pay, you will remain stagnated in such a way that you. And so, what are steps, considering the fact that we may have little to nothing to commence? What are those things you encourage a young, for considering the steps you've taken over the years? What are the advice you give to someone like me, who is just a beginner and trying to aspire to see that beyond the science?
Okay. Well, beyond the science, is that what you're saying? Hello?
I mean, just beyond the academics, the project you do, the research, and you're trying to make life okay. And I don't say.
Okay. Now, so for a young academic, or even if you are not an academic, but a young person who is interested in science, interested in STEM, and really wants to do something beyond just the science. Look, my life is exactly what I would advise you to mirror, in the sense that start becoming unusual. Take deliberate steps. I left the university and I had to beg my way. I played some politics before they were able to release me, but let's leave that alone. I begged my way so that they can leave me for 1 year, right? And I ended up in a school in Lagos where I was trained. Because before I got to that school, I didn't know anything. All I just knew was just the science. But today, I know all the nuances in business. I know all of them. The MBA is just supposed to be the icing on the cake, the icing on the cake. That's what the MBA is supposed to be, to finalize everything, so that when I'm done, I can walk into any room, have a conversation with investors, with government, heads of government, and we strike deals. I won't be scared that, hey, I'm coming from academia. I don't understand what's going on. And even if you are going to employ people, because some people always say, hey, but I can always get myself a CFO that knows the finance. You are the CEO. You should understand what the CFO has done. So my advice to young people is take little baby steps and don't be in a hurry. It's going to take a while. Take little baby steps, number one. Number two, in that science you are conducting, start opening your eye. If you're a real scientist, then you should have a knack for observations, right? Start opening your eyes to novel things in your arena. Because the moment you capture it, the next thing is to start building a business model around it. So as you are walking where you are, just open your inner eyes and start looking for that novel thing that can be scaled. That's my advice. And the moment you see it, start taking all the moves. And may the powers of the universe be in your favor. Because I've been a very lucky man. I will not lie to you. Not everything I've achieved have come from hard work or because I'm smart. It's also because I've been very, very lucky. A good example is Rubicon. The way I met this angel investor that has taken charge fully. This one is not audio money. It's not audio money. Fully. I just want to go deep into it. Was because of luck. I was just lucky. So ask for that. Some will call it luck. Christians will call it grace. Some other people will call it fortune. Whatever name you want to call it, just make sure you have an amount of it. Sufficient enough to take you to the next stage of your life. So that's my advice. I think somebody has a question.
Thank you very much, Doc, for that. Thank you,
Okay.
Sir. I've gained a lot. Yes. Okay, so I think this is all we can take for this session. I personally have already followed me on LinkedIn almost immediately after now. Doc, please, some of us may be reaching out after now to ask some questions or to pitch some ideas with you that may help us further our own path. I hope you keenly listen to us, sir. Thank you, sir, for joining us this evening. We are grateful. Thank you.
You are welcome, and thank you for having me. And I'm so sorry about this whole thing. You know, it's like I'm in the dark. I'm owning the entire lights in my car because I'm trying to make sure that you see my face as much as possible. I'm glad I was able to also attend to this because I'm in an extremely busy phase, but I said this is important. So thanks again for having me. And to Okpeyemi, who said that I look younger. Yes, now, you know the stress when my face don't see this particular year. I don't the age, this year has stressed me. It's like it has cut off 5 years of my life.
Thank you very much.
So guys, when you say that you are praying for success, I want you to know that success is going to steal your time. Right? So what you're asking for is that you're not going to have time. Anyway, so that's my parting comments. Take care, guys, and thanks for having me. All right, bye.
Thank you, grateful. Thank you, sir.
Hello, everyone. I'm sure we've been having a wonderful session so far.
Hello.
I would like. Can you hear me? Please, can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear.
Okay. I'll be welcoming our third speaker for tonight, and she'll be leading us in an open discussion. And our speaker for tonight is in the person of Muinat Zubair, and our topic is up in African bioscience. We're going to talk about the problems and the solutions. And Muinat is a recovering novel addict. She's a freelance content writer and a graduate of biochemistry. She's an avid reader with a love for academics, a permanent student of Islam, and a lover of children. She wants to become a professor and is hard-pressed to choose between genetics and neuroscience. And the more exciting part is that Muinat is a member of our community and she'll be anchoring the open discussion for tonight's session on the innovation gap in African biosciences, talking about the problems and the solutions. So before she comes up, I would like to implore every one of us also, thank you for how much decorum we've maintained up until now, to ensure to mute our mics, turn off our videos if possible, and then pay avid attention to our speaker. And then let us engage. This is going to be an open discussion, so let us engage with every point given. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for that, Emmanuel. I could not have said it better myself. But before I start, please let me just say that I'm a little bit under the weather. Sorry for that. Just started recently this evening, but I think I would feel better if people engage with this. This is an open discussion. So Emmanuel, please, I sent the file to you. Can you please help me share? I thought I would be able to access Zoom on my system, but now I discovered that I have to install the app. Okay, thank you. So, like he said, my name is Muinat Zubair, and we're going to be discussing the topic, the innovation gap in African bioscience, problems and solutions. It's an open discussion, like I said before, is I want us to please engage. So I do have a disclaimer. I'm a Nigerian, so you pardon me if I give examples or I say things in the context of my immediate environment. Although the world is a global stage, but Nigeria is relatable because I live in Nigeria. So next slide, please. So this is a quote by a consultant on the innovation gap in life sciences. I'm just quickly going to go through it. We live in a world caught up in ever more rapid technological advance. Every week brings new IT products and services. Sectors as diverse as transport, energy, communications, and food are all bringing forward new ways to satisfy human need. However, biomedical innovation remains stubbornly slow and unproductive, as measured by output, the benefits to patients, over input investments. In fact, pharmaceutical innovation follows Aron's law, an exponential decline in productivity that is the very reverse of Moore's law. This is despite very rapid progress in the underlying science. This innovation gap puts at risk the very enterprise of life sciences in which society and investors place so much faith. We need a scientific study of the gaps in translation and radical thinking to bridge them. So it's basically talking, this Richard Baker is basically talking about the fact that innovation in life sciences, by the way, life sciences and biosciences are the same, just a change of language, a play on words, if you could call it that. So it's just talking about the fact that of all innovations that we have, engineering is moving at a really fast pace. Same thing for other aspects of innovation, but for life sciences, they're a bit slow. And I think it's because it has human involvement, like it involves life. So we can't expect drastic innovation, but at the same time, we should not stall in coming up with innovations at all. Next slide, please. Emmanuel, are you there? Okay, thank you. So bioscience innovations, you can agree with me, has significant potential to contribute to sustainable development and economic growth in Africa. Yet, not surprising, this should not be surprising that African scientists make up just 1.1% of world's scientific researchers. Don't ask me where I got this stats from, although I can provide proof. So African science suffers from limited diversity in the academy, and global participation is inhibited by this shortage of leading scientists. That we should keep a perspective that we have so many benefits of innovative intervention, but it requires capital and entrepreneurial energy. And I'm so glad that the session we had before this is about entrepreneurship in sciences, is an aspect that is not spoken about enough. So we have the ability to develop innovative intervention into new industries. There's a need to raise our domestic production because we rely too heavily on foreign consumption of rudimentary goods and services. And we also need to increase our savings that way. Next slide, please. So to the discussion proper, please, if you would like to contribute, please just raise your hand and I would invite you to the stage. So the first question we have on this topic is, we know that, like I said before in the introduction, many of Africa's challenges have scientific solutions, but there are fewer individuals engaged in scientific activity per capita on this continent. So why is that? What is the problem? What is the issue we have with innovation in Africa? Why do we have very little contribution to scientific solutions worldwide? So I'll be waiting for us to raise our hands so we can contribute to this. I hope we got my first question. Now, what can we as Africans, we have very little contribution to scientific solutions. So what is the problem? What is the issue with that? So one of the things that I have discovered is that our learning system is really poor. As a biochemist, I have very limited career pathway, especially in Africa. Oh, so we have someone that wants to contribute. Emmanuel, please go ahead.
Okay. I'm just coming. I want to respond to your question, like you said. What have been the reasons that have been why there have been limited contributions in the biochemical or bio
Science.
in the biomedical sciences, in the entrepreneurial biomedical sciences? Well, personally, I was thinking about it and I realized that Africans, we hold on to the moral standpoint where we try to apply either our religion or we try to be as moral as possible. Meanwhile, the international world, they are out for the business part. So, first of all, I'm thinking that most of the time, some of these persons venture into this business for the purpose of making money. So the person, unlike the information we just got about the malaria drug discoverer, she didn't go out particularly looking for money, but some other scientists actually go in looking for money, and because of that, that's a major drive for innovation and everything. And then with that, I think they also have there could be a capital that they have that helps them with that. Meanwhile, we on our own part, we don't want to seem greedy, or we don't want to seem like we are capitalizing on people's illness to make money. So we are hoping that the international group does the findings and then we can administer the drugs, or we are opening our religion helps us out. So I think that's it for my end.
Oh, thank you, Emmanuel. So you're saying that we put sentiments, especially the sentiments around making money and sentiments around religion over actual passion for science and innovation. Thank you. Idris, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you. First thing I would say is making us have the issue of low turnout of bioscientists in terms of in Africa is one, is poverty. Let me start from there. Lack of infrastructure. How do I mean? Say, for example, you barely are even having enough as a researcher to feed. Let me use an academic for a case study. The academic, where virtually your salary is even barely enough to take care of you and your immediate family. And you're expected also to carry out research from your own pockets. There are limited grants available to text on and try some of these stuffs and then come out with something that are innovative to aid our society. That's one. So poverty and lack of finance will make people tend to think about what they will eat, what they will feed on, before thinking of how to provide solutions. Academics, in other words, are done as a full-time job, not combined with other activities. But here in Africa, Notice that most persons will tell you need to get a second job. Or you cannot rely on one job. So times that are supposed to be meant for research and innovative thinking are used into creating several other sources of income, and research are left to nothing but publication purpose of for promotion. Even some of the research that have been turned up like at masters and MSc levels, they are supposed to make impact due to the fact that
Thank
they are
you. It
still
was.
Okay. I guess I have to stop
I
here.
can barely hear you. Actually, I can barely hear you. Your voice
Can you
is
hear me?
very low.
Okay, you could just ask if it's
Yes.
audible.
Yes. But I got what you said.
Okay.
Yes, definitely. There is an economic imbalance,
Exactly.
and yes, there's also the issue of weak scientific infrastructure. The teaching
Thank you.
aspect of it, everything around that is a bit is hard to get
Downside.
around that. If we are
Yes.
going to make any strides in
Getting worse by the
sciences.
day.
Yeah, thank
And
you.
just yeah.
Okay, let me just, Olaiton, please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Muinat. I think this is a much easier discussion that we need to have with ourselves. Yeah, first of me, I see it from the part of the fact that there is a wrong way of doing things. We are following a wrong paradigm. There's a wrong pattern of doing things, a wrong way of thinking, because the way we are taught and the way we see it is to finish your bachelor's, go and do master's, and find scholarships to go and do PhD, and maybe go and find postdocs. I tell you that I'm privileged to know a couple of people that, PhD, master's, PhD, they are looking for one postdoc one way or the other. After postdoc, we'll be looking for another postdoc. And there's just the wrong way of doing it. As I say, in this time, we want a generation of differentiators, a generation of creatives, and not just people with degrees and PhDs and all of that are not doing anything. So it's going to be it's going to be chaos, setting up for chaos. And if we keep doing things this way, you can't be expecting jollof rice you can't want to cook jollof rice and be cooking with palm oil. You have to add your pepper. You have to be able to do things differently. You can't want to cook white rice and say and be adding palm oil in it and be expecting white rice. It's not going to be possible. So what we need to do is to learn change our way of thinking and do the right thing. Whilst I was finishing my master's, I knew that if I leave this lab work now, every area of expertise, I know how to use the microscope, I know how to shift that. If I speak for you, if I do some certain things for you in the lab, I just sat down and looked at myself that every expertise that I have now ends the moment I take my bag, got my lab coat, and leave the lab. And it's also done out to me whilst I got into an opportunity to work in the industry. From having an opportunity to work with the supply chain, the finance guys, the procurement, and the sales guys, I found out that I was just a dunce with a master's degree. I'm telling you, for the first 6 months, wow. I've never felt so stupid. I've never felt so stupid in my life. I was claiming I had a master's degree. So, we need to. One thing I want us to emphasize as a nation is that we need to start from taking things like SciWest important. As a 300 level internship, very important. Most people during SciWest, they will go and be sending you food. You're going to be buying food or buying amala for your gas, for the 6 months. So you really don't know what. So BSc, you don't get a job. Nobody is ready. You can't do anything. You can't deliver on the job or your KPIs. Nobody is ready to employ you. Then you go and jump yourself into a master's. A master's, you're frustrated again. Then you want to go and jump yourself into a PhD. You end up doing that for almost 5 or 6 years of your life, and you leave that and you'll be jumping to do a postdoc after that. So just keep cycling this cycle of you not be able to discover purpose and be truly happy with yourself. So let me just round up. Things like SciWest, our government, our students should now start taking seriously. That is industrial training. That is, we should now encourage workers to involve our students in some of these procedures. I see that some companies like Malan and Grandson, some conglomerates like KPMG are taking graduate trainees now. They take you out of the graduate training. They take you through all the departments, and you can really just learn some of these technical skills and how to do things. Then if you now want to come back to do a postgraduate degree, then you can come back to pursue that excellence. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Olaitan. Thank you. Like, I understand the frustration with the education system, especially in Nigeria, using Nigeria as a typical example. And that is why we're having conversations like this. We hope that with the coming generation and also with us, starting from our generation, we can begin to change things ourselves and just not wait for the government. And your comment has laid the ground for a question that I want to ask, because I know a couple. They are both medical professionals, husband and wife. One is a consultant oncologist and the other is a consultant gynecologist. And they both have this mindset, like they have this really positive mindset that Nigeria and Africa at large is going to be better. In fact, like most of their colleagues flocking abroad to relocating, they don't have that kind of intention at all. And it is so commendable because they have the qualifications to leave the country if they want to, but they don't want to. So my question is, I'm sure that some of us have intentions of going abroad for our grad studies. Does anyone have a career pathway planned for Nigeria after your graduate studies? Do you plan on coming back to Nigeria? If so, type yes or no in the chat box. Yes, I'll be reading it. So I will just move on to the second question. So we have established that we have a lot of problems. We have the issue of learning systems. We have economic imbalance, the issue of pre-existing weak scientific infrastructure, and the fact that knowledge and technology is non-linear does not make it any easier for us. And there's also the politics around raising funds and policies and practices in Africa. And there's also measurements. How do we measure growth if we have it? How do we measure scientific innovations? So my next question is, how can we increase our participation? We have recognized that our participation is not up to par. So how do we increase participation of Africans in scientific practice? How do we make sure that we make an intellectual contribution to the hard world problems that we have? Because these problems are not going anywhere. So do we have anyone that wants to make a contribution? Just raise your hand, please. And during my research, I discovered that most of the innovations that we have in Africa have either Chinese or Indian origin. And that is just so sad because these people they are importing innovations that work for their continent into Africa. And sometimes it doesn't even really work for Africa. Sometimes you have to tailor it to the African context, but that is not happening in most cases. So what is the problem? How can we increase our participation in scientific practice? Okay, so while I wait for hands up, let me just move on. So there is the issue.
Muinat.
Yeah.
Sorry, I wanted to respond. Oh my God, I should have raised my hand. I'm so sorry.
Oh no problem.
I'm so sorry. I wanted to respond to your question. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, I can.
Okay, I'm so sorry that I didn't raise my hand.
No problem. Go ahead.
So you said, how can we sorry, repeat your question. How can we
increase the participation of Africans in scientific innovations worldwide?
Yeah, I think the first thing we need to do is actually change our mind. Can you hear me? So
yes,
we need
I can.
to change our mindset, because I remember when I wanted to, I knew from SciWest that I wanted to go into biosciences. First, when I was in biochemistry class, I was like, biochemistry is boring. I need to look for something else. Maybe I'm going to do medicine and surgery after biochemistry, because what's biochemistry? Biology and chemistry the future was looking bleak. Let me just put it that way. So when I did my SciWest, at NIMA, and I did it in the molecular biology unit. That was the first time I felt like I was alive. Like seeing, like having the opportunity to like do the research, like, you know, you're thinking of solutions, like my mind, like my mind was working. I was feeling my mind playing, okay, you're thinking of a solution, you don't know the answer, you're like a learner. So that fact that my mind was working, it made me feel alive. So I was like, okay, yes, I'm going to do bioscience, like molecular biology after school. But then I had some friends, and you know, I was like, oh, okay, you know, the way you gist with your friends, I'm like, oh, so they're like, okay, so after biochemistry now, what do you want to do in your life? And I'm like, oh, I think I want to do molecular biology. And someone legitimately told me you're going to be poor. And I was like, what does that mean? Like, what do you mean by I'm going to be poor? And it was like, can't you see our lecturers? Can't you see the shitty cars that are driving? Can't you see this one that is using a stick to drive his car? Your life is going to be useless. So just go and face maybe tech or, you know, stock. Like, you know, then there was day trading was raining. Like when people were day traders, they buy stock and sell stock immediately. So just go and focus on stock, day trading. If not, forget to guy, you're going to be poor. And I was like, I'm not going to be poor. I know myself, I will never be poor. I was like, and I'm still going to be a bioscientist. But at that point, it was hard because the voices around me, like the mindset around me was like, oh, if you're a bioscientist, so poverty is your second name. So I believe our mindset, and that at that period, I was like, I need to be around people that think the way that I think, that actually see biosciences as an avenue to make money. Because the people that are surrounding me now are telling me I'm going to fall. I need to change my circle. I need to change the people I'm listening to. I need to have other people that are like, okay, you're not doing the wrong thing. You're actually going in the right direction. You can actually, you know, make a very good living from this. So our mindset is, because if you check people in the universities, if the mindset was not poverty, people would take their studies. I know our system is terrible, but they'll take it seriously because they know that I can make something for myself out of this. So the mindset is so bad. So I think that's what we can also like start to change, like that idea. And that's why I like sessions like this that show us that, wait, see, it's not just charity. Me, I'm all for the business. I'm all for the money. Make the money. Yeah, help people, but make the money. Make the money while helping people, because that would inspire. Because I cannot feed my family on charity. Let's be honest. You need to feed your family on money. Like you don't need to be a billionaire, but you need to be settled. So I think that's really important, like changing that mindset so that other people that are coming after us can say, okay, see, that guy is a scientist, and you know what? He has a nice house. Even if it is not Elon Musk style, he's comfortable, he's not begging anybody for money, he has a comfortable ride and everything. So I believe that's the best thing to do. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Chinaza, for your contribution. I definitely agree with you that our mindset matters a lot. We need to stop with the pity party of blaming the government for everything. Let us take matters into our hands and wrought the change that we want to see. So I think we have Opeyemi raising his or hands. You have the floor, please. Opeyemi.
Yes. Oh, sorry. Good evening, everyone. Can we all hear me? I'm sorry.
Yes, we can.
All right. Please, can you repeat the question? Oh my God, Scotia. Okay, can you repeat the question? I want to see if I understand the question.
How can we increase participation of Africans we have established that our presence in the online, in the research stage is very low.
Okay.
So how can we
All right. Thank you for that question. Actually, let me say coincidentally, I attended a conference last week. It's almost the same thing that we discussed for the 2 days. Okay. The person that spoke last talked about mindsets. Fine. Yes, we could see that a lot of Africans, like let me say Nigerians, traveling abroad and for PhD, for MSc, we actually have this mindset already. I think the major problem I can see that we have in Africa is funding. Yes, funding from government or funding, because if the money is there to do research, we have brains. If you go to all those biomedical companies, pharmaceutical companies around the world, you will see Africans there. At least one African will be in each company. You get doing research, kind of different researches. Even me myself, I have several senior colleagues in abroad doing PhD, doing research and all. We have the mindset. The funding is what that we lack. We don't have the money. We don't have our money to fund it. We don't have the resources, we don't have the equipment and everything to do clinical research, to do clinical trials, to do research and development, and all. We don't have it. So that's why people are leaving, African country and going to abroad to study. At the end of the day, they will not come back because they will see opportunities there, to explore their dreams. So if the funding is there, if the government is, helping us, see, no way, we have the mindset, we have the brains. Yes, all of us, we are brilliant, we are intelligent. We can do this thing, we can participate fully. You get. And let me set an example now. I in that conference, they talked about pharmaceuticals. 95% of all the drugs that we are, using in Africa, they're all imported. Those that call themselves pharmaceutical companies, genius companies, they just imported raw materials, compound all those OTCs. Just not that they are doing research, developing drugs. I mean, novel drugs, new drugs that have not been in the market before. Everything is being done in Western world. So that's what I'm saying. It's just funding that we need. Actually, funding is a problem. Government looking into this research, aspect of science. So I think that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Okoyemi.
You're
Idris,
welcome.
I'm just seeing your comments in this chat box. I'm so sorry. I thought you were done, actually. I'm sorry for interrupting you. Please accept my apology. So the third question we have here is that, so we've been talking about, we are pumped on the fact that we need to change our mindset and funding. Okay, if these things are in place, so what is the role of public research and development in moving knowledge and technology to the markets and to various other sectors? Because we agree with me that with innovation comes the research and development aspect of it. So what is the role of research and development in the bioscience innovation field? If you'd like to contribute to that, let me, Okoyemi, your hand is still raised. Do you want to talk? So we know that the fact that solutions may be adequate has little to do with the source of the technology, but the contextualization, like I said before, really matters. The fact that we need to tailor whatever solutions we are coming up with to Africa. It's not just about, even if we are going to, even if we are not going to do the innovation from the scratch, we need to make sure that whatever solutions we are bringing, we appeal to people, because there are different aspects to innovation system. We have knowledge development. We need to build knowledge. There's the entrepreneurship aspect of it. There's policies, then enabling environment too matters. And we have to create a market for whatever products we are coming up with. Then building legitimacy, which is, in my opinion, about the most difficult part of research and development. Like, after doing all that hard work, you still need to get people to buy into your idea. Like, see the essence of how will you convince a market woman that she needs to install solar in her house. Those kind of things, these are things that we need to really look into. What do we do in the term of research and development? How do we convert the promise of bioscience revolution into market opportunities? We need a very strong public research and development that will catalyze this innovation. So, okay, do we have anyone that wants to contribute? You can either unmute or raise your hand. So the fact that any research on innovation system needs to pay attention to the peculiarities of each national systems. Even within Africa, we have so many diversity. Is something that we need to look into, apart from the research. And that should happen in the development stage and also the research stage too. We need to look at in depth at how we can make sure that the solutions, the problem fits the solution. Even if it doesn't fit like a glove, at least it's a near, how do I put it? Near similarity. And there's also the fact that even if we are not going to innovate from scratch, whatever we are importing from maybe Europe or Asia, the Asian continent or any of the continents has to be in line with. Okay, did we get my question? Because I don't see any hands raised here. Okay, Olaiton, thank you.
Yeah,
Right.
thank you, Muinat. Yes, I think the first and second speaker touched on it, and I think the first speaker talked about value proposition. So you must, and while the second speaker put it as you must have found a problem experienced by a large number of people, an emphasis on the large number of people. So once you have found a problem that is solving a problem that is experienced by a large number of people, then of course we definitely have a market for it. And once, if your market is in Africa, then you just really just need to find a means of how you can put your, and we have social media there as a means to which you can put your products out there. And you can also do face-to-face marketing, whereby you go to the market with the aid of DJs, public display, and all of that. You give people your product to try and all of that, and also try to just push it out as much as possible to ensure that the product is accepted. So that is basically it for me. There are of course marketing strategies that you can employ. You will never run out of marketing strategies that you can employ to see that you put out your business there. If you start a shop today, you definitely know what to do to ensure that whatever way you do it, you ensure that people will come and buy what you're selling. Yeah. So you never run out of marketing strategies. There always be ways to think and relearn and unlearn while you are taking your product to the market.
Definitely. And I think getting people to see the value also matters a lot. So if we don't have any contributions to that
value proposition.
Yes. Exactly. Yes. Thank you, Olaiton. So the fourth question is, you have discovered some of the problems we have, and we have been talking about solution. So do we think that we can sustain innovation process? I said before that the innovation process has a lot of parts to it. We have to develop the knowledge. There is the entrepreneurial part of it. There is the policy, there is market creation, and getting legitimacy. So can we sustain innovation processes? Because innovation processes require stable mechanism and time frame. And Africa, we are not known for our maintenance culture or even our preservation culture for that matter. So can we maintain innovative solutions when we actually have them? Is this sustainable? So I'll be waiting for a contribution, and while waiting, I'll just go ahead to discuss it. So do you think that African solutions to African problems is what we need? And are we open to international participation? And I don't even think we have a choice with international participation. We have it already, whether we like it or not, because we have people that see all of the yawning problems that we have in Africa, and they come to try and get solutions to them. Oh, Tumishe, please go ahead. Thank you.
Yes, I think it's very sustainable. One major thing that we African bioscientists need to realize is that if the problem you are bringing is going to be value-oriented and as well profitable, it must make sure that it impacts the life of most persons, because we're a developing country. Before you can get international collaboration, you must have made sure that whatever innovation you are bringing has impact on the grassroots. So such a way you are attracting the government, you are attracting people to see the value in your innovation. I remember Kenya did something in 2020, and it's all about this drone, like in form of dispatch ride, but this time around they are using drone. So they were able to touch villages like the Swahili main village and the rest. And before you know it, the team that brought about such innovation, they collaborated with international organizations, and UNICEF
UNICEF collaborated with them before they gave them grants. As in, so we are able to sustain such innovations if we have the thought of humanity with it. So that's the main thing. Your philanthropy behind your innovation. Bioscientists, we are providing solutions that would increase the lifespan of humans. We are bringing innovations that would make humans flourish, that would help the SDGs become realistic. So if you have philanthropic mindset, there's no way that the developed countries will not see that your business does not pass the day of limelight. So that's just my take on that.
Thank you, Tumishe. Thank you very much. I do agree with you. In fact, East Africa, which Kenya is one, they are really making strides in the bio-innovation space. So I'm so sorry, I will not be able to take more questions. We are greatly behind schedule for tonight's session. I'm so sorry for that. Emmanuel, can you move on to the last slide, please? Emmanuel? Thank you. So thank you everyone for contributing to the conversation. I'm so sorry that we could not exhaust some of the questions that we have planned for us. It's because of the schedule and everything. And that's just the way God has planned it to work out. So please, thank you very much for attending this open discussion, and thank you for contributing to all those who contributed, and to those who did not, thank you for your presence. Nonetheless, Science Cafe appreciates your attendance and engagement. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow for the concluding part of the events. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everyone. I think so far so good. The one has been an interesting one, and it's still the Science Cafe anniversary. And believe me, I have learned a lot tonight, and I believe most of us have today too. Please, let's endeavor to join up tomorrow for day 2. We also have interesting package waiting for us. I sincerely want to thank all our speakers who came on board despite their busy schedule to indeed cover some of the essential topics that we have discussed today. To those of us members, visitors that were here tonight to grace today's event, we say thank you. All our newly inductees into the house, I hope you had a wonderful day 1, and we hope to see you all tomorrow. Do have a lovely night's rest, and thank you once more for joining us. We'll be back again tomorrow. It's still the anniversary week. It's still anniversary, our 2 years anniversary of Science Cafe. Please, let's think innovative and let's become the entrepreneurial scientists we have all dreamed to become. Yes, there's money in science, and we hope we can make it. Good night, everyone. See you all tomorrow, same time tomorrow. Good night.